What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, it's Daniel, and welcome back to the video. Today, I'm doing my official 2024 NASCAR Cup Series silly season predictions. We're going through all the full-time entries and all the part-time entries I'm predicting for 2024. So anyways, let's go ahead and just jump straight to it. We're going to start talking about the one car for Trackhouse Racing. This has already been confirmed as Ross Chastain in February announced a multi-year contract extension with Trackhouse Racing. Ross Chastain has already scored one in the 2023 season, has also announced a multi-year partnership with Busch Beer and Wisconsin for at least 18 races in 2024. Ross Chastain has been really successful at Trackhouse, and he'll continue driving the one car for Trackhouse in 2024. Up next, how about the two car for Team Penske? This has already been confirmed as Austin will be a long-term driver at Team Penske, as his father, of course, is the president of Team Penske. Austin Hendrick's been having a really bad year in 2023. Sophomore slumps tend to happen, and he's been struggling in 2023. But hopefully in 2024, he can improve, and he will continue driving the number 2 car in 2024. Up next, how about the 3 car for Rich Schultz Racing? This has already been confirmed as Austin Hill has a contract with Rich Schultz Racing currently for the 2025 season. Austin Hill's had a bad year in 2023, already had a big penalty that's already happened, and he's looking to already set his foot right and hopefully have a better 2024 season. He's shown some flashes at time this year, but sadly he's not had a good year. He'll be looking to improve in 2024. Up next, how about the 4 car for Stewart-Haas Racing? At the end of 2023, Kevin Harvick is going to retire, and replacing him in 2024 is going to be Josh Berry. Josh Berry currently drives the number 8 car for Junior Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, but Ronnie Chose really wanted to work with Josh Berry. Josh Berry has had a lot of talents, made a lot of cup starts as basically a substitute for Chase Elliott, Alex Bowman, and also for Noah Gragson, as Noah Gragson no longer drives for the team. I think Josh Berry is going to have a decent year with Stewart-Haas Racing, and I think this is a great move for the team to bring Josh Berry in, and I think he'll have a pretty good year in 2024. Up next, how about the 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports? This already confirmed. Kyle Larson signed a multi-year contract extension last year that will go through the 2026 season. Kyle Larson also is going to attempt the 2024 Indianapolis 500 with Arrow McLaren Hendrick support. I expect Kyle Larson to be a threat in that race, and I think he'll have a really good chance to win the championship in 2024. Up next, how about the 6 car for RFK Racing? We're going to know is going to be driving this car, and that is going to be Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski's having a pretty good year in 2023, has already locked themselves into the playoffs, and has a decent chance maybe to win the championship in 2023. He's brought Roush back to life. They're a team I think in the next 2 years that could win a championship, and it wouldn't surprise or shock me if Brad Keselowski's winning races in 2024, maybe by the end of 2023. Up next, how about the 7 car for Spire Motorsports? This has already been confirmed as Corey LaJoie signed a multi-year contract extension with Spire Motorsports. Corey LaJoie in 2023 has had a pretty solid year, and he thinks will continue to improve. Obviously, they've had a big partnership with Gamebridge that was announced earlier this year as well that will go through the next few years. Corey LaJoie's had a pretty solid year, and he will continue driving the number 7 car in the 2024 season with Spire Motorsports. Up next, how about the 8 car for Rich Schultz Racing? This has already been confirmed. Kyle Busch basically has a long-term deal with Rich Schultz Racing and will finish his NASCAR Cup Series career with the team. Kyle Busch in 2023 has had an amazing and very good season, has a really good chance and opportunity to potentially win his first championship, well, his 3rd Cup Series championship, but his first one with Rich Schultz Racing. He's had a lot of sponsor funding come into play and will continue driving his 8 car in 2024. Up next time, talk about the 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This has already been confirmed as Chase Elliott has a deal currently for the 2027 season. Now, Chase Elliott in 2023 has absolutely struggled and likely will not make the playoffs in 2023. But Chase Elliott is still Chase Elliott, and I think he could have a chance to win a race by the end of the year. I expect in 2024 that he's going to have a bounce-back performance. I think he's going to improve in the 2024 season, and I think he'll have a really good chance and a really great shot to win the championship next year. He'll continue driving the 9 car in 2024. Up next, how about the 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing? There's a lot of talk and question about the 10 car going into 2024 because it sounds like there's a really great chance and possibility that Eric Almirola might retire at the end of the 2023 season. So who will take over that 10 car next year if Eric Almirola retires? Well, it sounds like currently at the moment that right now Zane Smith is the favorite to take the 10 car. Zane Smith has a contract with Ford through the 2026 season, and I don't think he'll be part of Front Row's truck program in the 2024 season. Plus, I think Zane has earned a chance and an opportunity to go full-time Cup racing in 2024. So I think in 2024, Eric Almirola is going to retire at the end of 2023, and I think that you're going to see Zane Smith take over that 10 car in 2024. Up next, how about the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? There's been a lot of talk questions surrounding Denny Hamlin and his future at Joe Gibbs Racing. There's even been rumors that maybe 2311 Racing could switch to Ford. However, I think a lot of it has to do with leverage. I think that Denny Hamlin is going to get a multi-year extension with Joe Gibbs Racing. I think Toyota wants to keep him around. They've obviously said they want to keep him around for 2024. So therefore, I think they're going to get a contract extension. I think they're going to get things figured out. I think it comes down to 2311 what they do. But I think Denny Hamlin will continue driving the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2024. Up next, how about the 12th car for Team Penske? This has already been confirmed as Ryan Blaney signed a multi-year contract extension with Team Penske, which will keep him with this team long term. Ryan Blaney earned his first win in nearly 2 years in the 2023 Coca-Cola 600, and while at times he struggled in the 2023 season, I do expect that Ryan Blaney is going to have a solid year, will be a solid contender 2024, and I think Penske is going to improve in 2024 as well. Up next, how about the 13 car for Kaulig Racing? Now, I expect in 2024 that Kaulig Racing is going to basically have a third part-time entry. Maybe want to have a third full-time car in the future. But I think right now they're going to settle on running a third car on a part-time basis. And I think this car is going to be occupied by 2 drivers. Chandler Smith, who currently drives 16 car for Kaulig Racing in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, has made select starts, going to be running Daytona this weekend. And I also think that Matt DiBenedetto, who currently drives full-time for Rackley in the Truck Series, I think he is also going to drive this car on a part-time basis as well. I think Matt DiBenedetto deserves a chance, a shot, and an opportunity to be back in the Cup Series, at least on a part-time basis. I think those 2 drivers will be driving this car in 2024. Up next, talk about the 14 car for Stewart-Haas Racing. This is already confirmed as Chase Briscoe early in the year has signed a multi-year contract extension with Stewart-Haas Racing. While Chase Briscoe struggled in the 2023 season, I think that Stewart-Haas Racing may improve in the long-term future. Obviously, there's still some questions about Stewart-Haas Racing's long-term plans, but I do think Chase Briscoe is the future of this team. He's a really solid driver, knows how to get it done behind the wheel. I expect him to continue driving this car in 2024. Up next, how about the 15 car for Rick Ware Racing? Now, I still expect Rick Ware Racing to have 2 full-time entries in 2024. Will they have 2 chartered entries? Who knows at this point. But I expect the 15 car to be a rotation car. I expect drivers like Riley Herbst, J.J. Yeley, Haley Deegan, and Cole Custer to make starts with this team. Riley Herbst, I think, will make starts at other organizations in the 2024 Cup Series season. I think he deserves a shot and an opportunity to have a shot to make some more Cup starts. I think Riley Herbst had a pretty decent year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I think Haley Deegan will make her first Cup start, but I think at least she makes only 1 or 2 starts in the Cup Series next year. And I think Cole Custer also deserves more Cup starts as well, as he's done a pretty good job in Xfinity. So I expect this team to be a rotation team with multiple different drivers. And I think Jensen Button could also drive this car at some point as well. Up next, how about the 16 car for Kaulig Racing? There have been questions about the 16 car and who is going to drive this car in 2024. But I do think that AJ Allmendinger is going to return to the 16 car in the 2024 season. While his future is a little bit in question, AJ's having a decent year. Not a great year like I think we all expected him, but I still think AJ's had a pretty decent year, all things considered, and still has a chance to make the playoffs this weekend at Daytona if he goes on to win. So I think that he's going to return. I think he loves the Kaulig Racing environment, and I think he returns to the number 16 car for Kaulig Racing in 2024. They love working with him. He's done a great job with the team. I think he stays with the team in 2024. Up next, how about the 17 car for RFK Racing? This has already been confirmed. Chris Buescher is going to return to this car at least for the next few years and probably for the rest of his NASCAR Cup Series career. Chris Buescher's had a breakout year in 2023, scoring 2 victories, and I think he has an outside chance to maybe win the championship in 2023 as well. With RFK being back at the top of their game and being the best they've been in many, many years, I do believe that Chris Buescher is someone in the next few years who could win the championship in the Cup Series. He already won an Xfinity Series championship. It would not surprise or shock me if he has a chance to win the championship in 2024. Up next, how about the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This has already been confirmed as that it was announced in Michigan weekend that Mark Truex Jr. will return in 2024 to the 19 cars. There have been a lot of talk and questions about his future. Mark Truex Jr.'s had a really great year in 2023, so he's had a career resurgence. And of course, he struggled in 2022 to make the playoffs. This year, he scored 3 wins and is probably the favorite at this moment, and maybe outside of William Byron, to win the championship currently at the moment. I think Mark Truex Jr. will have a chance to win. I don't know if he returns in 2025. I think next year could be his last year in the Cup Series, but we know for sure he'll be returning to JGR next season. Up next, how about the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This has already been confirmed. Cristobal will be with the team pretty much for the rest of his NASCAR Cup Series career. Cristobal's been having a pretty decent year, but he only got his first top 5 since his win at Bristol Dirt. But I still think he has an outside chance and an outside opportunity to win the championship this year. But nonetheless, I think Cristobal is going to return to the 20 car. He's been confirmed to do that, and I think he will continue to do great things with Joe Gibbs Racing long term, and he stays with JGR in 2024. Up next, how about the 21 car for the Wood Brothers? There's also been some conversations about Harrison Burton recently about his future in the Cup Series. And despite some rumblings, he's kind of said that nothing's been said at this point for 2024. But I do believe that the Wood Brothers are going to give him another chance and an opportunity to continue driving the 21 car in 2024. Harrison Burton, I think, has been slightly improving this year in 2023, albeit it's not been the greatest signs of improvement. I think he has improved slightly in 2023. And I think if he comes back to the Wood Brothers, I think he'll improve. So I expect that he stays in the 21 car in 2024. Up next, how about the 22 car for Team Penske? There's going to be no changes here as Joe Logano signed a long-term contract extension with Team Penske that currently goes through the 2028 season. He's obviously coming off of winning the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series Championship and has had a pretty decent year. Not as good of a year as I think a lot of us thought, but I think he's got an outside chance and a shot to win the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Joe Logano will continue driving his car and probably winning more races and winning championships long term. Up next, how about the 23 car for 23XI Racing? This has already been confirmed as Bubba Wallace last year signed a multi-year contract extension with 23XI Racing. Something interesting, Freddie Kraft has stated on the Door Bumper Clear podcast that Bubba Wallace is in the last year of his contract in 2024. With how good Bubba Wallace has been performing though the last few years, I do expect that he is going to return to this car in 2025 and also 2026. I think Denny Hamlin really likes working with Bubba Wallace, and Bubba Wallace has been having a career year in the Cup Series despite not winning at this point. I think he's going to stay long term and continue driving for this team for the long term for many more years to come. Up next, how about the 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports? This has already been confirmed. William Byron signed a multi-year contract extension last year that goes through the 2025 season. But I do expect that William Byron is going to sign another multi-year contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports because William Byron's been having a career year. He's already scored 5 wins also in the 2023 season. I think he deserves a chance and opportunity to stay long term. He's been the most successful driver in a 24 car besides Jeff Gordon. He's been having a great year, and he will stay long term and continue driving a 24 car in the 2024 season. Up next, how about the 31 car for Kaulig Racing? Now, there's been a lot of talk and conversations and questions revolving around the 31 car because we obviously know that Justin Haley is going to be leaving Kaulig Racing at the end of this year, and we know that that car is going to be available. And I thought it was going to be Austin Hill who was going to be driving this car full time, but Austin Hill is no longer on the cards to drive this car in 2024. So now there's a lot of talk and conversations about who is going to get a chance and opportunity to drive this car in 2024. Well, I think this might shock a lot of you, but I think it's going to be Noah Gragson. I know there's a chance maybe Carson Osbar could drive his car, but I think Noah Gragson is going to drive a 31 for Kaulig Racing in the 2024 season. Look, I know that there's a lot of issues maybe with sponsorship that comes into play, especially after what happened with the controversy, and I thought there'd be no chance and possibility that we're going to see Carson Osbar get back to the Cup Series. But I truly do believe that next year in 2024, I think Kaulig Racing takes a chance on him. I think Noah Gragson gets back into Cup Series next year and drives a 31 car for Kaulig Racing. Up next, how about the 33 car for Richard Childress Racing? Now, this year and last year, we've seen the 33 from RCR make at least one start. And I think in 2024, this car is going to return. And it will return on a part-time basis. And I think Austin Hill will be, of course, full-time in Xfinity Series once again in 2024. I think he's going to drive this car. But I also think Brody Kosecki, who kind of worked with RCR and made his debut with this team, I think Brody Kosecki is also going to drive this car in 2024. Brody Kosecki had a pretty solid performance, not the greatest performance in the world, but I think he still had a pretty solid performance. And I think he deserves a shot and an opportunity to continue driving this car, at least on a part-time basis next year. So therefore, I think that you see both Austin Hill and Brody Kosecki drive. Austin Hill, I think, makes more cup starts. I don't think he drives a Beer Motorsports. And I think they bring the 33 car back once again in 2024. Up next, how about the 34 car for Front Row Motorsports? This was confirmed a few weeks ago. Michael McDowell is going to continue driving the 34 car for Front Row Motorsports in 2024. And I think this has been well earned. Michael McDowell had a very dominating day at the Indy Road Course and went on to score the victory. And I think Michael McDowell could be an outside shot to maybe win the championship, though I don't think it's very likely at this point. But if he was able to accomplish and do that, that would be extremely impressive. Michael McDowell's been having a really good year, having basically a career up to this point, and I think Michael McDowell continues staying long-term. I think 2025 may be his last year in Cup, because he's definitely getting up there in age. Michael McDowell's getting near the end of his career, but he's having a great year and will stay with this team in 2024. Up next, how about the 36 car for Front Row Motorsports? I think Front Row is going to bring back their 36 car once again in the 2024 season, and I think Riley Herbst is going to drive his 36 car. Riley Herbst's future past 2023, at least in the Xfinity Series, is currently uncertain at the moment, and I'm not sure if he'll return to SHR next year despite having the Monster Energy money, which I think there's a chance he does return. But I think that he is going to make select Cup Series starts with Front Row and probably also Rick Ware as well. Front Row has an alliance with that team, and I do believe that Riley Herbst and maybe even Frankie Muniz maybe gets a shot and opportunity to drive for Front Row, but I think mainly you look maybe at Riley Herbst, and I'll give an outside chance to Frankie Muniz as well, driving this car at least on a part-time basis. Up next, how about the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports? This has already been confirmed. Todd Gilliland will also return to his respective ride to 38 car in 2024. Todd Gilliland's been having a really good year in 2023. And keep this in mind, he's been doing this under a lot of pressure because he's not even full-time in that 38. Zane Smith's had opportunities to drive his car this year. I think Front Row made a great decision to keep Todd Gilliland around, and I think he's going to continue doing awesome and great things with Front Row Motorsports in the 2024 season. Up next, how about the 41 car for Stewart-Haas Racing? There's been a little bit of uncertain future about the 41 car at the moment because Ryan Preece has not signed past 2023. However, I think that Ryan Preece is going to be returning to the 41 car in 2024. Look, Ryan Preece, like I mentioned, has not had a great year this year. That means that I do think he deserves another chance, another shot and opportunity because Stewart-Haas Racing all across the board has not been very, very good. So therefore, I do believe Stewart-Haas Racing is going to give him another chance and opportunity, and I expect that he is going to return to the 41 car in the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season. Up next, how about the 42 car for Legacy Motor Club? Now, obviously, we know that Noah Gragson is not going to be returning to his 42 car in 2024, as Legacy Motor Club is also switching to Toyota in the 2024 season. So now the big question revolves around who is going to drive this 42 car. Look no further than John Hunter Nemechek. John Nemechek is currently the favorite to drive the 42 car for Legacy Motor Club in 2024. He's been tearing up in the NASCAR Xfinity Series here and has a really great shot and opportunity to win the Xfinity Series Championship and could also win the regular season championship in a couple weeks as well. And he's also, I think, has earned a right and opportunity to go back full-time in Cup because, again, he's doing really good in Xfinity. And he's also got some sponsorship funding that is able to work with him as well. So, therefore, I think John Hunter Nemechek will be full-time in the Cup Series with Legacy Motor Club. Up next, how about the 43 car for Legacy Motor Club? This has already been confirmed. Eric Jones will be driving the 43 car for Legacy Motor Club in 2024. Despite the struggles from this 43 team throughout the year, I've been seeing some signs of improvement throughout this year, especially the last 6-7 races where Eric Jones has been finishing the top 11 and top 12. And I do believe that Eric Jones is going to get better next year, especially with the Toyota Alliance, as he goes back to Toyota for the first time since the 2020 season when he drove for Joe Gibbs Racing. He's been good with Legacy Motor Club in the past. He did really good when he was Petty GMS, and I think that they're going to continue working with him long term, and he will stay in the number 43 car for Legacy in 2024. Up next, how about the 45 car for 2311 Racing? This has already been confirmed. Tyler Reddick will continue driving the 45 car for 2311 Racing in 2024. Tyler Reddick has been having a pretty good year, I would say, in the NASCAR Cup Series. His first year with 2311 Racing, but has also made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of those have been either pit crew mistakes or mistakes on the racetrack, though I think he's cleaned them up a lot more this season. Tyler Reddick has scored one win with the team, but I think they could have won a few more races if 23XI could figure out their strategy. But he will stay in the number 45 car in 2024. Up next, how about the 47 car for JTG Doherty Racing? This has already been confirmed. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. will continue driving the 47 car in the 2024 season. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has had a career year in the Cup Series. Of course, won the 2023 Daytona 500. Has pretty much been in the playoffs the whole entire year. The lowest he's been is 16, which I think he currently holds the 15th or 16th position in points, which I think is really impressive for JTG Doherty. And I think they're currently happy at the moment where they're at this point. They've been improving. They've been showing signs of improvement. And I think because Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s experience is coming to play, I think that's been a big reason why Stenhouse has improved with this team. Up next, how about the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports? This has already been confirmed as it was announced earlier this year that Alex Bowman has signed a multi-year contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports that goes through the 2026 season. Also, Ally had signed their extension through 2028. Alex Bowman has been doing not that great this year, obviously, but then I think a lot of it comes from the injury he had earlier this year, and will have to win Daytona to make the playoffs. But I do believe that Alex Bowman is going to get better in 24, I should say. He's had an off year this year, but I do think he'll get better and will perform a lot better in 2024. I think Blake Harris is a good crew chief, and they kind of gel pretty well together. I think Alex Bowman gets better in 2024. Up next, how about the 50 car for the Money Team Racing? Now, the Money Team Racing has not really raced much in 2023 and not run as many races that they were supposed to run. But I do believe the Money Team is going to return in 2024, and I think they make select starts with one driver, Jeffrey Earnhardt. Jeffrey Earnhardt has been heavily rumored to drive the A car for Junior Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series next season, but I do believe that they're going to return next year with Jeffrey. Jeffrey's made a few Cup starts, of course, ran full-time, I think, in the Cup Series with Circle Sport back, I think, in 2017, but I do believe they return, and I think they bring Jeffrey Earnhardt on to the Money Team in 2024. Up next, how about the 51 car for Rick Ware Racing? The 51 car I expect to be driven by Justin Haley. Now, the number for Justin has not been confirmed. We obviously know that Justin Haley is going to be driving full-time for Rick Ware Racing in 2024, which a lot of people were really shocked when this was officially announced. But I think that Justin Haley will have a solid year with Rick Ware Racing. I think Justin Haley is overall a pretty good driver in the Cup Series, has had a pretty good year the last years, I should say, and Rick Ware Racing itself has been improving. And you also have to remember, they do have that alliance with RFK, which I think is going to help heal wounds in struggling the first year. And long term, maybe we see Justin Haley full-time in RFK if they decide to expand to 3 cars, because they're talking about expanding toward the future. But we're going to see Justin Haley drive full-time for Rick Ware in 2024, which right now it's a multi-year deal with the team. Up next, how about the 54 car for Joe Gibbs Racing? This has already been confirmed. Ty Gibbs will continue driving the 54 car for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2024. Ty Gibbs had a very impressive rookie season, and I think he's going to get better in the 2024 year, which I think would surprise or shock me if he gets a win or two in 2024. He's going to win a championship in these next few years. He may not be popular, he may be controversial, but Ty Gibbs knows how to get it done behind the wheel, and he's also got sponsorship and funding. He's a champion of the Xfinity Series, won some Xfinity Series races this year, has 13 career wins, and I do believe that Ty Gibbs will potentially win races in 2024 and continue improving and growing as a driver in this series. Up next, how about the 62 car for Beard Motorsports? I expect Beard Motorsports to expand their schedule in 2024. And I think that Helio Castroneves, who has been promised a ride in the NASCAR Cup Series for Daytona 500, I think he's going to drive in Daytona 500 and a couple NASCAR Cup Series races despite the partnership with Meyer Shank Racing. And I also think that Ty Dillon is going to drive in 2024 as well on a part-time basis with this team. So I'm not expecting Ty Dillon to return to the organization in 2024. So I believe you're going to have Helio Castroneves drive part-time, and I think Beard Motorsports returns with multiple drivers with sponsorship and personalities as well. Helio's got a great personality. I think he'll do a good job, and I think he will also make the Daytona 500 as well with this team. And I think they go around to 12 or 15 races next season. Up next, how about the 67 car for 23XI Racing? I do expect that 23XI Racing is going to bring back their third part-time entry like they've ran a couple times this year with Travis Strana and Kamui Kobayashi. And I think that Kurt Busch will eventually get medically cleared to race by 2024, and he'll make some select starts, not run full-time, but make some select starts in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2024. I also think that Kamui Kobayashi is going to run a couple select road course races in the 2024 season as well. And I also think this shocks some people, but I think that Carl Edwards will make a one-off start in the Cup Series as he has been promised to drive at least maybe one race with 2311 Racing. Carl's been itching closer to getting back behind the wheel, and I think that you'll see all three drivers, that being Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, and Kamui Kobayashi, drive this car in 2024. Up next, how about the 77 car for Spire Motorsports? There's been a lot of talk about a 77 for Spire Motorsports next year, but I'm not expecting Ty Dillon to return to this team in 2024. Instead, I think that Carson Hocevar, who currently drives full-time for Nice Motorsports in the Truck Series, has made select starts in the NASCAR Xfinity Series for Spire Motorsports, and I think that he is going to be driving full-time for Spire Motorsports in 2024. I also think that Andretti Autosport is going to get involved in NASCAR and partner up at least with this ride. It wouldn't surprise if they partner up with Corey LaJoie next year as well, but I think Andretti Autosport is going to get involved in a pretty big way with the Gamebridge partnership. Carson Hocevar has been having a really good year in trucks. He made his Select Cup start this year in substitution for that 7 when Corey was in the 9, and he did a really awesome and great job before he had the brake rotor failure in the issue. I think that Carson Hocevar is a great talent, a great driver, and a great personality. I expect him to drive the number 77 car in 2024. Up next, talk about the number 78 car for Live Fast Motorsports. I expect Live Fast Motorsports once again to be a rotation ride. And I think that Bijan McLeod is going to run less races than normal, but I think he'll run a few races, including the Daytona 500. I also think that Anthony Alfredo and Sheldon Creed are going to make select starts in this car as well. Anthony Alfredo currently drives 78 for Bijan McLeod Motorsports in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, so I think that he'll make select starts, probably the majority of them. I also think that Sheldon Creed, who I think will return to the 2-car for our start in the Xfinity Series, I think he's going to make select starts in the 78 car as well, as he will make his debut in this car basically at Kansas in a few weeks. So therefore, I think it's going to be a rotation ride with those drivers. Up next, how about the 84 car for Legacy Motor Club? There will be an 84 car in 2024, as basically the David Wilson, the executive Toyota, confirmed that Jimmy Johnson makes some select starts with this team in 2024. Obviously, Jimmy, of course, the co-owner of this organization with guys like Cal Welch and also Mara Gallagher and Richard Petty. But Jimmy Johnson, I think, will make a few starts around 5 or 6 in a Toyota. I also think that Sammy Smith and Ryan Truex are going to get an opportunity shot to drive this car as well. Sammy Smith, I think, will make it like 3 or 4 Cup starts, and Ryan Truex make a few starts. So I'm expecting this car to be a rotation car. I also throw Casey Mears out as a potential possibility as well. Up next, how about the 91 car for Trackhouse Racing? Now, I do not believe that Project 91 is going to be returning in 2024. Because it's expected that Shane Van Gisbergen is going to be driving full-time all across NASCAR in 2024 and will be signed with Trackhouse Racing. Now, announcement is expected to come in the coming weeks. They're finalizing a deal as we speak. But I don't think this 91 car is going to be full-time. I don't think it's going to be chartered. So I think that you're going to see Shane Van Gisbergen run around 12 to 15 NASCAR Cup Series races next year. I think it's going to be really fun to have him. He's been really fun to listen to. 2 career top 10s up to this point. He's not going to run any more races in 2023, but he will run part-time and almost full-time all across the board through all the series in 2024. And finally, let's talk about the 99 car for Trackhouse Racing. There'll be no changes in 2024, as Daniel Suarez is going to drive this 99 car once again in the 2024 season. Look, I know he has not had a good year in 2024, but still, Daniel Suarez is still a very solid and a pretty capable driver to contend and compete. And I think Trackhouse Racing is still going to be wanting to be committed to him. I think he's going to get better, and I think he'll have a better year in 2024 because I think Trackhouse is going to improve all around as an organization in 2024. So, those are my official 2024 NASCAR Cup Series silly season predictions. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links description below with that, and comment your thoughts below on today's video. What are your 2024 NASCAR silly season predictions? Let me know your predictions in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video on the channel. Obviously, later today, I'll have the NASCAR Xfinity Series race picks for Daytona. And then on Thursday, we'll have race picks for the NASCAR Cup Series race to Daytona. Then next, on Friday, we'll have the NASCAR Xfinity Series race from Daytona, also NASCAR news video. And then, of course, we will have the race review from Daytona as well. Maybe another 2,000 subscriber special. By the way, this is also the 2,000 subscriber special, so thank you all for your support on the channel. I gratefully appreciate it. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.